Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Disparate Post Ireland, coming to you from the fair city of Dublin. I am your host, Frank Lennon. Awareness, the Oxford Dictionary indicates, and I quote, is concern about and well-informed interest in a particular situation or development, unquote. This episode of Disparate Post Ireland, therefore, is devoted to awareness raising in the matter of the oncoming express train, which is cashlessness. Just like me, dear viewer, you and thousands like us are standing right there on the track. Unfortunately, wind direction, that is the propaganda favourable towards cashlessness, is muting the true sound of that thundering and guaranteed to be massively impactful financial projectile. If we don't wake up now, and in one loud voice, and by combined individual actions, effectively call halt on this, we are 100% guaranteed to find ourselves locked inside an inescapable financial control prison, which by default would have been of our own making. So, let's be aware. James A. Garfield, 20th President of the United States, had something quite profound to say about money, something which we all need to be particularly mindful of. This is what he said, and I quote, "He who controls the money supply of a nation controls the nation," unquote. At present, you control your cash. Let's update James A. Garfield's quote to applicability in our era of encroaching cashlessness. He who controls your cash controls you. It really is that simple. The full picture of cashlessness will ultimately be formed from many dots. In my small way, I have been trying for some time via Twitter to alert people to this cashlessness juggernaut trundling our way. Let's take a look now at some tweets and retweets which during 2017 I circulated on the issue of cashlessness. They're being presented to get you thinking, to raise your awareness on the cashlessness issue that bit higher, and hopefully to spur you into some form of concrete, focused action on pushback. April 3rd, I retweet a Sky News article with a headline which states, and I quote, "New credit card rules could help customers shake off persistent debt," unquote. My tweet, prediction, advantage banks, down with cashlessness, save our cash. Predatory behaviour by the so-called financial industry, together with race-to-the-bottom wages, have pushed huge swathes of working-class society into credit card dependency, that is, cashlessness. We need to bear this in mind when considering the rules which are being proposed. The financial conduct industry in Britain found that despite debt, while customers remained profitable, financial firms had few incentives to intervene. The proposed new rules would, for example, see customers having their cards suspended while they worked to pay off persistent debt, see repayment plans to clear the debt quicker, or firms reducing, waiving or cancelling interest or charges where a repayment plan is still unaffordable. See customers who fail to cooperate or who cannot afford the repayment plans lose the use of their cards. It is claimed that the proposed changes would give customers greater control. Greater control? Really? Perhaps I'm missing something here, but it seems to me that the control remains firmly and fully with the banks. That is, advantage banks. Advantage to these same institutions who currently are relentlessly, by word and by deed, pushing the agenda of cashlessness. April 14th, I retweet an @database DNA account tweet which states, and I quote, "A cashless society is all they need to shut undesirables out of the system. Make the YouTube demonetization seem like the good old days, unquote. My tweet: yes, be warned. This is the control freak's plan. Down with cashlessness. Save our cash. Undesirables. What would the definition of undesirables be? Political activists? People who demonstrate disapproval of a particular government or governments? Unemployed people? The list goes on. A totally cashless society would truly be a wet dream for those who, for nefarious reasons, would seek ever greater control over our society. Given our experiences with financial institutions, especially in recent times, why, in the name of reason, would any sane individual wish to see them with even 1 ounce greater control over our lives than they already have? For those who are unaware, in recent times YouTube has begun to demonetize whole swathes of alternative media accounts. Whatever the reason for this, we will not go into here, but suffice it to say that YouTube's action is a clear indication, a warning of what institutions who control your content or your money can and will do. With today's information technology, its network reach and its speed, many individuals in a cashless society may well find themselves, at the press of a button, financially disenfranchised, shut out of the system. May 10th. I tweet a link to a YouTube video which had the following author comment, and I quote, PayPal account locked. Recorded idiot call with rep. Fun. Well, it had to happen. Shame it had to happen with $300 of your money in it. Account is locked and cannot be unlocked. Staff say we do not have the tools to unlock it. My tweet: now, can you just imagine what it would be like in a cashless society? Save our cash. The lesson here is really simple. If your money does not remain tangible and within your possession until you decide to spend it, you simply will not have any ultimate control over it. However, the institution or organization where your money is being held will have full control over it and be in a position, for whatever reason, to deprive you of all or any access to it. So, we should all say an emphatic no to cashlessness. June 29th. I retweet an @CryptoCoinsNews Twitter account tweet which states, and I quote, recovery seen in cryptocurrency market, unquote. My tweet: cash only is king. All or any electronic currency is vulnerable to New World Order types acquisition. Save our cash. Some people I have discussed the matter of cashlessness with seem to harbour a notion that because they're into cryptocurrency, for example Bitcoin, they will not in any way be impacted by the encroaching cashless society. Well, I hate to be the burster of bubbles here, but common logic would suggest to me that in cashless society context, all non-tangible, electronic, computer-based currency will share equal vulnerability. The only difference here being the fact that cryptocurrency is already computer-based, thus giving it a jump start in the vulnerability stakes. If the power goes out, if the system goes down, your crypto is gone. You are locked out of the system. July 11th. I tweeted a link to an independent.ie business article which headed, and I quote, bank accused of disgraceful move as branch counter services are axed, unquote. My tweet: stealth creep into a control zone of cashlessness. Think before you purchase. Use cash, not card. Save our cash. Bank of Ireland is proving to be no shrinking violet where the cashlessness agenda is concerned. This bank has 250 branches in Ireland, 100 of which, or 40%, are currently targeted for the withdrawal of counter-service. The bank expects 66 branches, or 66% of its target, to be counterless by mid-August 2017. This means that by year-end 2017, 1 in 3 Bank of Ireland branches will no longer be accepting cash or coin. In Bank of Ireland counterless branches, customers will in future be limited to machine withdrawal maximums of €1,300. No doubt other banks will quickly follow suit. It is obvious that a cashless agenda is being followed here and that customers are being herded in that direction, whether they like it or not. What is also obvious now is the increasing degree of control which is being exercised by the banks over people's money. Just imagine how much easier it would be in fully cashless society context for financial institutions to apply punitive controls or total blocks to people's accounts. August 2nd. I tweet a link to the Richie Allen Show, typically broadcast from Manchester, England. It's an interview during which Richie speaks with Pippa King about the following, and I quote, "The agenda to implant us with RFID and how it relates to the coming smart agenda," unquote. My tweet, "Listen to this. It's a wake-up call. Cashless society gets a mention. Save our cash." Pippa King is a parent and superbly well-briefed, community-engaged British citizen. Her amazing knowledge base relates to modern computer technology and its impact on children and indeed on greater society. In this wide-ranging and substantive interview, Pippa talks about RFID, that is, radio frequency identification, both as off-body tags and also as body implants. What follows is a short abstract from a New York Times article of July 25th, 2017, and I quote, "On August 1st, employees at 3 Square Market, a technology company in Wisconsin, can choose to have a chip the size of a grain of rice injected between their thumb and index finger. Once that is done, any task involving RFID technology, swiping into the office building, paying for food in the cafeteria, can be accomplished with a wave of the hand," unquote. So viewers, you see where all of this is going, and going very fast. Populations are being softened up for the eventual acceptance of RFID implants. Once a significant number of people acquiesce, then the next stage will be compulsory implantation, likely commencing with infants. As I said earlier in this film, the cashless society picture will comprise of many dots. RFID chipping and implanting are but 2 of those dots. The cashless agenda abounds with dots. These dots are slowly but surely converging. By the time we get to see the picture clearly, it will already be too late. Individually and collectively, we must act now, with every pushback strategy we can muster, to forestall the prison compound reality of a cashless society. August 10th. I retweet an @HeLikedTurner account tweet which states, and I quote, "I fear they're trying to engineer a world where we can never buy or sell anything without using their services," unquote. My tweet, "Brilliant, brilliant. At last, the spark of an awakening is flashing over." See my next tweet marked contactless. Save our cash. There still is an awakening required for some, and a greater awareness required for many in relation to cashlessness. From a societal communications point of view, the challenge within which each of us have a vital role to play is in spreading the word, raising the awareness. Talk with your family about the prospect and negative implication for our freedom of a cashless society. If you are socializing with friends or colleagues, introduce the prospect of cashlessness into conversation. Seek their opinions in relation to what is going on right now in the world under an obvious accelerating agenda towards cashlessness. Without the slightest doubt, the financial world is being engineered to guarantee that in the near future no financial transaction can take place without some financial institution somewhere chalking up a commission on such activity. At least two things would be guaranteed to happen as a result of a cashless society. One, staggering commission profits would be made by the banks. And two, huge saleable databases of consumer activity, the recording of which you would not have given permission for, will be generated and will be sold on, creating even greater profits for the banks. So test all around you for awareness in relation to the highly significant threat which cashlessness will bring to our fundamental freedoms and to our inalienable right to privacy. August 10th, I tweeted out a link to a blog article which I had authored on the matter of a cashless society. The title of the article is "Crediting Yourself with Greater Intelligence Must Be on the Cards." There is a lot of information in the blog article. If you are a Twitter user, then you can search Twitter using #SaveOurCash, entered exactly as is displayed in the tweet on screen here, and click onwards to the article from there. If you do not have a Twitter account, you can still access the blog article by typing the following search term into the search field in your search engine of choice. #SaveOurCash space on space Twitter. Scroll down the list of tweets which will be presented until you arrive at the one displayed here and click the link to the blog article from there. At the end of the blog article, you will find several other links to further important information on the worldwide drive towards cashlessness. August 17th, I retweet a Brendan O'Kelly tweet with a link to an Irish Times article by Newton Emerson, headlined, and I quote, "Identity cards are coming for us all," unquote. My tweet: "Get your Big Brother card here, another hallmark in steps towards a cashless society. Save our cash." In the melting pot of prospective new rules for society, which is the Brexit process, we can be assured of one thing, that is, that both the British and the Irish state will avail of the Brexit opportunity, problem, reaction, solution, to strengthen controls over their respective populations. Newton Emerson's Irish Times article is both stark and revealing. For example, these two paragraphs. Example 1, and I quote, "What this is building towards is an electronic, everywhere border, based not so much on keeping certain people out, as on making life difficult if they get in. It concedes that conventional frontiers are already overwhelmed and aims to turn every interaction with the state into a de facto immigration inspection," unquote. Example 2, and I quote, "A total of 16 million British people do not have a passport, and the remainder do not want to carry theirs around at all times. As inspection requirements grow, demand for a national identity card will increase, and the unique position of the Irish will have to be accommodated," unquote. And what about this? Also from Newton's article, and I quote, "Most significantly, the Irish government decided it also wanted to move towards internal immigration checks, while maintaining the common travel area, and accepted That would mean introducing its own identity card and UK-compatible database. The clear expectation was that British and Irish cards would have equal validity in the UK and the Republic, unquote. And here then, Newton provides the final coup de grace in relation to Big Brotherism in Ireland. And I quote, "The UK might note Ireland is ahead on this front. The Republic's biometric public services card is increasingly required for dealings within the state, often described as a national identity card in the making. It is an electronic internal order already," unquote. So it would seem that Ireland is ahead of the curve in implementing a biometric national identity card system. That is, the DSP card, linked to a British compatible database, one function of which will be to allow or disallow money interactions within the Irish state. Without question, this is yet another dot which will play a significant role in forming the overall picture of a cashless society. There is a separate matter of deep concern on the civil liberties front in relation to the databases associated with these national identity cards. It relates to personal privacy and the matter of the Irish-British link-up and the already well-known similar British-US link-up. For all we know, Irish citizens who have already been trawled into the Irish Department of Social Protection National Identity Card system may have their private DSP numbers and more shunted off via Britain into the unwelcome arms of the likes of the NSA in the US. August 22nd, I tweet a link to an @Irish Times article which states, and I quote, "Our most read story on irishtimes.com this morning. Woman's pension cut after she refuses to get a PSC card," unquote. I tweet, "Do you need any further proof that allowing cashlessness to take hold would be utter insanity? Save our cash." The incident referred to in the Irish Times article sparked off a storm of indignation from the Irish public, a storm which is still raging today, and indeed rightly so. It would appear that for over 18 months a 70-year-old lady had been deprived of a state pension to which she is entitled because she refused to register for a public services card. As a result of the withholding action, she was owed a staggering €13,000. Incredibly, some mandarin or mandarins within the Irish deep state apparently took it upon themselves to deprive this citizen of her lawful entitlements to her pension. It would appear that the coercive withholding action was taken in order to force this citizen into acquiescence in the matter of accepting a PSC card. Such PSC cards, I believe, are presently not mandatory under Irish law. Think about that. Not mandatory under Irish law. Now, think about what has just been said in the context of a fully cashless society and the positively frightening power which we would be handing to faceless state mandarins and to financial institutions if we simply stand back and do nothing to try and apply the brakes to the thundering express train of cashlessness. August 23rd, I retweet a tweet by @Carl Brophy, and I quote, "Very, very few people realise that mandatory ID cards have been secretly introduced in Ireland," unquote. My tweet, "Part of a greater worldwide controlled agenda which includes a cashless society. We all must push back on this. Save our cash." So most people probably still naively believe that we in Ireland live in a democracy. I no longer subscribe to such a myth. When a majority of our people do not vote for particular political parties, and yet those same parties end up in government, which is our present reality, then we emphatically do not have a democracy. In a real democracy, we would not be embroiled in such huge controversy right now in relation to the discovery of so-called ID cards. Such a matter would have been debated openly in our Parliament, and the will of our people in relation to it would be respected. The exact same applies in the obvious race towards the insanity of a cashless society. We are hearing nothing about this from our public representatives, and yet it is clear to all, but the closed-minded and those who simply will not see, that a cashless juggernaut is on the line, and it is thundering daily with ever-accelerating speed in our direction. We need to stop it. And so, to round off this short series of tweets, which I'm using to raise awareness in the matter of the push towards a cashless society, I now refer to an August 23rd tweet from @JFTaxi, in which an Irish Times article headlined as follows is referenced, and I quote, "Civil Liberties Watchdog to write to government over public services card," unquote. And @JFTaxi's tweet reflects that headline. Civil Liberties Watchdog to write to government over public services card. And of course, an image of the card at the centre of the current storm of public outrage is presented. Note the gold-coloured RFID chip on the left side of the card. If you have been issued with one of these cards, were you made specifically aware of the information about you or any other information that may be contained on that chip? I was issued one of these cards, but was not made aware of its electronic contents. Under freedom of information, surely we have a right to know the content of these cards. For example, does the RFID chip contain your RSI number, your date of birth, your home address, or any of your personal financial information, etc.? The legitimate questions go on. Unless you have access to an RFID chip reader, you have no way of knowing what information about you has been put on the card. However, if the card gets within reading distance of any RFID chip reader out in the wild, the owner of that chip reader may well immediately have access to your private data. Let's just identify such prospective unauthorized data capture as speculative chip harvesting. I'm sure that such harvesting would be seen as financially rewarding. Such concerns are extremely serious, and particularly in relation to prospective identity theft. Cashlessness has come over the horizon and is now bearing upon us. It is being obliquely facilitated by developments in a wide range of RFID chipped cards similar to the now controversial and obviously covertly developed Irish Public Services card. We do have good people among us, people who display an extraordinary abundance of both insight and foresight, and who do all in their power to warn us about upcoming storms. Do we listen to them? For example, in terms of the Irish so-called property scene, I would rate our native economist David McWilliams one such individual. David, many years ago, accurately forecast exactly what is happening right now in the matter of home repossessions. On a different level, but no less an accurate forecaster of events, is British writer, broadcaster and speaker David Icke. While I would be the first to say that I would not necessarily agree with everything that David says, I would nonetheless have to acknowledge his extraordinarily well-demonstrated ability to read what is going on in the world, and most times to compile a plausible and accurate description of it, and indeed what may be behind it. In 2010, 7 years ago, as part of a world-speaking tour, David was addressing an audience in the Czech Republic, and this is what he had to say in relation to the march towards a cashless society.
The structure they're looking for, and we're moving towards it so fast, is a world government that would dictate to every country. It would have in its structure a world central bank that would dictate to all finance, all global finance. In the end, it wants a global currency which wouldn't be money in your hand. It would purely be one single electronic currency, for which there are fundamental implications for freedom. Because if you go into a store now and you hand over electronic money, a credit card, and the computer says, sorry, it won't accept your card, at least you can still pay cash. When there's no cash in circulation and it's going out of circulation at a phenomenal speed, then when that computer says no to your card, or your microchip as it's designed to be eventually, then you have no other means of purchase and the computer is deciding your life.
Keep calm, we're going cashless. In the great game of insidious predictive programming, which we have Edward Bernays mainly to thank for, we find all manner of images and messages now being hourly pushed into our consciousness. What is on screen now is but one minuscule example of the onslaught of messages loaded into our consciousness over several years now in the ongoing war against cash. Cash, we are told, is bad. Cash, we are told, is inconvenient. Cash, we are told, causes crime. Cash, we are told, is used to evade taxes. Cash, we are told, fuels the black economy. And on, and on, and on it goes. The demonization of cash. Just like in the endless war on terror, where the so-called terrorist, who might also happen to be a freedom fighter, is the bogeyman. In the war on cash, cash must also be made out to be a bogeyman. There is nothing inherently wrong with cash, and there never was. If cash is one thing above all else, it is a tool of freedom for the masses, a tool which, if, under any pretext, is surrendered by the masses, will guarantee deeper enslavement of the masses. There has always been crime, and there always will be crime, cash or no cash. There has always been tax evasion, and given the ingenuity of humankind and the innate detestation individuals have for what they often perceive is unjust taxations, there always will be efforts made by people to resist such taxations, cash or no cash. There have always been individuals who choose to operate outside systems, for example, in the so-called black economies. Such will always be the case, cash or no cash. Think about the logic being used in the arguments to demonize cash, and contrast with these. Knives are both good and bad. They are used in surgeries which save lives. They are also used in assaults which often take lives. Have all knives everywhere been banned? No. Cars are both good and bad. They are used for benign transportation. They are also used by evil individuals to kill people. Have all cars everywhere been banned? No. Guns are both good and bad. They are used as defensive weapons when nations are attacked. They are also used offensively to kill people. Have all guns, large and small, everywhere been banned? No. It is said that the best way to investigate crime, identify perpetrators, and bring them to justice is to follow the money. We need to reverse engineer this concept right now and apply it to identifying those who would benefit from a cashless society. A jump start would be to look towards financial institutions and governments under the headings of profit and societal control. We are on the cusp, through cashlessness, of having our individual financial worlds turned upside down. Make no mistake about it, the mainly corporate forces mustered against us in the war on cash are as determined as they are powerful. Cashlessness has been part of their world wealth extraction and control master plan for quite some time. However, they are the few, we are the many. We ordinary citizens, therefore, must become part of the resistance in the war on cash. We must not go quietly into the dark control night of cashlessness. Now for the big question. What can we as individuals do to resist cashlessness? The first thing we need to bear in mind is this. If through our increased use of credit and debit cards, financial institutions note falling levels of cash withdrawals at ATMs, they will stealthily reduce the number of ATMs available to customers, thus making it even more difficult for customers to access cash. They are already reducing cash amounts which customers can withdraw daily at branches. For confirmation of the likelihood of an eventual reduction in access to ATMs, we need look no further than the example earlier in this film of Bank of Ireland's radical reduction of counter staff at a huge swathe of their branch network. Such service withdrawal was justified under the heading of less people using cash and less people attending the branches in question. Here are 8 action points which most individuals can immediately implement as resistance to the attempted imposition of cashlessness. No doubt, you may be able to think of many more, but these would be as good a starting point as any. Number 1. Think cash. Number 2. Leave your credit card at home. Number 3. Only keep your ATM card in your purse or wallet. Number 4. If you have financial institution accounts, develop a solid habit of withdrawing a minimum amount of cash via ATM every week. Number 5. If you absolutely must use your credit card and are in a position to do so, always clear the full balance on your monthly statement. Number 6. Make your family and friends aware of the danger to society of cashlessness. Number 7. Make your public representatives aware that you disagree with the policy of cashlessness being pursued by financial institutions. Number 8. Share this film as widely and as often as you can, and indeed immediately share any other information which comes your way about the dangers of cashlessness. Of all of these actions, I would suggest that the vigorous implementation of number 4, that is, the regular withdrawal of weekly cash amounts from ATMs, would have an early and important significant impact in our pushback against a cashless society. And so, with this new heightened awareness in relation to the war on cash, we can, at an individual level, proactively reverse engineer the predictive programming of cash bad, cashlessness good, which the financial industry has been bombarding us with for years, and instead adopt our own resistance mantra of keep calm and save our cash. As this film draws to a close, I thought I would also slip in a little bonus information. On screen is the text of a link to a YouTube video of huge importance. The video, which is only a few minutes long, is chillingly revealing in relation to where your biometric data will end up. In the video, you get the information straight from the horse's mouth. What follows is the unfortunate truth about the world we live in today. Trust no individual nor organization with any of your data. Most especially, do not trust any government department with your personal information. We have all been interwoven into a world-wired network, which now has an insatiable appetite for data. Data is virtual gold. It has huge commercial value, as mammoth corporations and snooping governments want to know everything there is to know about you. Virtually impossible, I know, but if you find it is within your power to keep what you consider to be your private information for as long as you can away from administrations and commercial entities, then without question that is the safest road to travel. Thank you for having taken the time to watch this video. Hopefully you may have found the subject matter to have been either interesting, informative, educational, or perhaps all of the above. If you feel the presentation worthy of a thumbs up, then great. That would indeed be much appreciated. Feedback via the comment section below would also be appreciated.